Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. This is SingularDTV, and cool. I'm Zach LeBeau. I'm one of the co-founders, along with Kim Jackson, Ari Levy-Cohen, and Joseph Lubin. And sitting to my right is G. Thomas Esme, SingularDTV's Director of Business Development.
Thanks, Zach. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ethereal 2018.
Cool.
So I joined SingularDTV shortly after Ethereal last year, actually. It's been a really exciting year for the blockchain community at large and SingularDTV specifically.
Yeah, last year, wow. In blockchain years, it feels like 10 years ago. But, last year, we were here at Ethereal. I think we had about 20, 25 team members. This year, we've grown to 70 team members. And we have, of course, we're still headquartered in Zurich. We have offices in New York, San Juan, Puerto Rico, Los Angeles, Tokyo, Hong Kong, and we're actually setting one up in Auckland, New Zealand this year, right?
I'm heading there next week.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's some really exciting stuff going on in New Zealand. Anyone from New Zealand in the crowd here, by chance? No? Okay, yeah, there's some really, really progressive, cool things going on in New Zealand. One of the really fantastic things about our team, and you can see here we have some of our team who have taken pictures of themselves. One of the really great things about our team is we're pretty much 50-50 men and women. So 50% men, 50% women. This is not something that is calculated. It's happened very naturally. It's happened organically. It's really important for us to, if we're going to be the change, if we want to see change in the world, if we want to see change in the entertainment industry, we need to embody that. And this ratio of pretty much 50-50 men, women on our team is culturally part of that, and it's very important to us.
Yeah, I think with the much maligned underrepresentation of women in Hollywood and underpayment of women in Hollywood, it's really essential that we, as a decentralized entertainment company, empower strong female voices. Speaking of our hires in the entertainment division, that's really the section of SingularDTV that's grown the most, especially over the past few months. We've got some very exciting and savvy professionals from the entertainment industry joining us at SingularDTV, including Joseph White, our new head of production. He joins us from Marvel Productions.
Yeah, Joseph actually was brought up, mentored by Francis Ford Coppola, and he then went on to Lucasfilm for a long time, and has come to us from Marvel, so it's great to have Joe on board. He basically produced, what did he produce?
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage and The Punisher.
And Daredevil.
And Daredevil. Okay, Iron Fist, right?
Yes.
Anyway, cool. And who else?
And we've also got Daniel Hyman joining us as our new Vice President of Film Financing and Development. Dan's really a superstar.
Yeah, Dan represents a new type of, wow. Dan is a mixture of a sales agent guru, entertainment finance, and now blockchain technology. So that mixture right there is pretty new. It doesn't exist anywhere else in the world in entertainment except in SingularDTV. So it's really, it's amazing to be able to create these hybridized sort of jobs, really. So.
Yeah, and Dan joins us from Preferred Content's Worldwide Sales Division, so he's really going to be a key team member of ours as our focus is increasingly more global. But I don't think we want to fixate just on what we've already done over the past year. We instead want to look towards what we've got coming up in the not-so-distant future. And really, for us, that's about EtherVision.
It is, but before we get to EtherVision, I do want to answer a few questions that some of you in the audience may have. And that's, first of all, what is SingularDTV? We are a blockchain entertainment studio. What is a blockchain entertainment studio? Do you have a good definition for a blockchain?
I think how you can think of a blockchain entertainment studio is two distinct but interrelated work streams. So we're building the technology so that anyone in the world can distribute their films, music, podcasts, video games, and get paid fairly. And we're also producing our own original content in order to test this out, prove that our method is viable and in fact preferable to the legacy system.
And one very important key element to what SingularDTV as a blockchain entertainment studio does is we are laying the foundation for a decentralized entertainment industry. What is a decentralized entertainment industry? Basically, a decentralized entertainment industry is a peer-to-peer interaction between the artist directly with their audience. No middlemen, no intermediaries, no gatekeepers. Basically, what we have now, artists, producers, independent entertainment investors, they do not control their IP. They do not control their intellectual property or the flow of the money for the most part. That's in the hands, that's in the control of distribution intermediaries and gatekeepers. So what we do at SingularDTV, by developing our suite of decentralized entertainment applications, these applications put the control of the intellectual property and of the money back into the hands of artists and producers and indie entertainment investors.
We'll go a bit more into how our ecosystem functions in a bit, but for now, really the most crucial thing for us to develop this year is EtherVision, which is the working title for our digital peer-to-peer content distribution portal. We are hoping to have a private alpha version ready sometime within the next 2 to 3 months, and then we'll have a public-facing beta version that'll be ready December this year or January of next. From there, we'll move on to version 1.0, which will incorporate mobile devices and streaming as opposed to purely downloads.
And so in anticipation of EtherVision launching, our distribution portal launching, we produce original content for SingularDTV, we acquire content, we have user-generated content, and what we're going to do throughout this presentation today is just share with you some of the films, some of the television series that we have coming up that will be exclusive to EtherVision. And the first one here, let's just get to that. We're going to play our first, what is it here we have? Perfect.
SingularDTV exclusive. Perfect.
Great.
It was in a dream.
What did you see?
Mom,
Honey, what's the problem? What happened?
I need help. How long will I be there?
Well, that depends on you.
Go ahead. This is your room.
What happens here?
We are here to help. Transgenic in vivo microbionic implants. This technology can free you from your basic program. You can become something better, more evolved, but you have to act now.
Hi.
Mom, there's this girl here. You would like her.
Be careful, sweetheart. Don't get too close.
The bow of God's wrath is bent.
What happened?
And it is justice that bends the arrow at your birthday.
Perhaps we should stop.
Please, stay with me.
I feel like this is my fault. Like I wasn't there enough.
What's wrong with me?
You've just been a slave to other people's bad choices.
Let it go.
I wanted you to be perfect. But I can't help but wonder.
What do we say about perfect? Wow. So this is an exciting film for us, for SingularDTV. It's a work by visionary director Eddie Alcazar and also the great prolific filmmaker Steven Soderbergh as well.
I love Soderbergh. He's probably one of the filmmakers in Hollywood with the most diverse filmography, I think. You may know him for Ocean's 11 and sequels. You may know him for Sex, Lies, and Videotape.
Solaris
That's
as
your
well.
personal
That's my
favorite.
favorite, yeah.
And also The Nick on Cinemax.
That's right.
and Magic Mike as well.
So it's been extremely gratifying for SingularDTV. Actually, it's been very validating to get a response from filmmakers of this level and this caliber. And hosting Eddie and Steven Soderbergh and their production team at our offices, sitting down with them, talking with them about the state of the entertainment industry, talking with them about the tools that we're developing, we realized that we have built the solution that they're interested in, and now we get to roll this film and a number of others out into the world to test our technology, to test the blockchain, and to show really artists, filmmakers, producers, indie entertainment investors all around the world what the next level of entertainment is looking like. So.
Yeah, and we'll have some more originals and exclusives for you guys to take a look at in a bit. But back to a little bit more about SingularDTV. How does it all work exactly? So in order for us to create this decentralized, blockchained version of the entertainment industry, we have to do it by building a whole suite of dApps.
Yeah, basically they're broken up into 4 different categories. The applications that we're building are development applications, production applications, distribution applications, and support applications. Right here is an example of really our 3-pillar decentralized applications. Tokit being a development application, Rentalist a production application, and of course EtherVision, EV for short, our distribution application. To go over Tokit really quickly, what we mean by a development application is basically that Tokit is our version 1.0 of our rights management gateway. This is where artists, producers, filmmakers, whomever, will create their projects here, and they will onboard their projects onto the blockchain by utilizing our rights management system. What we've developed basically is the ability for intellectual property, for IP, to be programmed into data vessels that we're calling tokens, of course, and then providing an interface for the artists, producers, for the entertainment investors, to then administer and manage the rights, the revenue flow, the residuals, the royalties of that intellectual property.
The next category, production applications, really our flagship right now is Rentalist. It's in private beta right now in New York. Rentalist is sort of it's a peer-to-peer Airbnb style equipment rental platform so that we can decentralize the whole aspect of bringing on equipment to make your films.
So not only entertainment equipment, but also crew hiring, location services, the 3 main things that you need really for actual physical production of, let's say, a movie, for example.
It's an excellent solution for independent filmmakers working in the New York area that we hope to roll out nationwide in the not-so-distant future. If you're a cinematographer, say, who has an Alexa sitting around that you're not doing anything with, by putting it on Rentalist, you have an opportunity to generate some passive income while you yourself are not crewing on sets.
Yeah, so basically, Tokit launched last November. It's live. There are artists, creators around the world starting their productions, starting their projects, and onboarding their projects, their intellectual property right now to our rights management system, to Tokit. And Rentalist, as G did mention, it's in a private beta right now. It's in the black. It's working in New York right now. And we look forward to rolling it out nationally later on this year.
Yep, and which brings us to EtherVision, which is really the most important piece here, because once we get EtherVision live, that's what will allow us to create this simplest closed loop of our decentralized entertainment industry. Yes. It's sort of the rug that ties the room together.
What movie is that from?
That's from The Big Lebowski.
Okay. Let's look at another one of the sci-fi titles that will be exclusive to EtherVision when it launches. Prospect.
Warlike prospecting is indeed an obscure craft, an art form worthy of the highest order of review. Some of us have the proclivity for greatness, while most do not. And those ambitious masses are the sacrifice this forest demands, so that the true diviners can stand atop the mountain of corpses and claim their riches. Which one are you? Are you one of the great ones?
Yeah, Prospect is a super cool movie. And so on EtherVision, we're starting to see a spectrum emerge, especially with our sci-fi. On one end, we have the very experiential type film like Perfect, and then Prospect is pretty much, it's a sci-fi Western. And as soon as it starts, it just keeps on going, and it's super exciting.
I love sci-fi westerns. Firefly, anybody? Come on. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it stars Jay Duplass and Pedro Pascal, who you might recognize from Game of Thrones and Kingsman 2 and other Narcos, did you say?
And Narcos as well, yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet, but yeah. So the examples of Perfect and Prospect, these are films that are going to be utilizing not only the distribution portal that we're launching, which is a decentralized, regionless, territory-free distribution portal, but also utilizing rights management on the blockchain. Transparent, instantaneous payments, no intermediaries, no distribution gatekeepers whatsoever.
And all of this probably sounds familiar since we're at Ethereal. These are problems that blockchain is solving for a lot of industries, but I think it's very useful to explain exactly why the current state of the entertainment industry is not functional anymore. And it has a lot to do with the platforms that exist for distributing digital content.
Let's take a look at iTunes.
Yeah, one example, iTunes is something that we often compare EtherVision to because initially in our beta version, EtherVision is going to be a downloadable application which you will use to download files to your computer. However, it'll be usable, unlike iTunes. iTunes is very unfair to artists. If you're listing content on iTunes, you're accepting from day one 70-30 splits, meaning 30% of every dollar generated by your content goes right to Apple.
Which actually, honestly, that's pretty good. That's one of the better deals in the entertainment industry right now for distribution. So that's a pretty good split.
And of course, the remaining 70% doesn't go directly to the artist. It's instead funneled through channels of intermediaries to the distributor in the case of a film, or perhaps a record label or publisher in the case of music. So the artist is not making that 70% on the other side. Instead, the money that they're seeing is severely, severely diluted.
So that's a big deal. That's a big problem. And also, when that money does show up to the artist, it could be months, it could be years. It's really in the hand of other intermediaries in the distribution chain.
Right. iTunes is also not so great for consumers. Something you may not know about iTunes, because probably like myself, you just kind of skim through those legal agreements that they make you sign when you want to download a movie. But actually what you're doing when you're purchasing that movie for download is you are acquiring a non-exclusive 30-year sublicense from iTunes in order to play the content. Meaning iTunes can, at will, at any time, revoke your license to play that content. And in fact, it's built in with an expiration date on it already.
Yeah, so when you buy content with iTunes, you don't really own it necessarily. Apple still owns it, and they can revoke your ability to participate, to watch it anytime they choose. So.
Things are pretty dire for film in particular with the ubiquitousness of a platform like Netflix.
Yep.
Netflix, of course, streaming giant that's potentially good for consumers in the form of low subscription fees, but especially bad for artists.
Now listen, Netflix is a pioneer, okay? Netflix has basically taken us from DVD into the world of streaming video. So that's an amazing thing. They were definitely a pioneer. Although there's a lot of issues that artists face in the Netflix model.
Right. Netflix is typically acquiring content for very cheap, meaning filmmakers are not being compensated, especially in the case of documentary filmmakers who often put years and tens of thousands, if not more, of their own dollars into making their films, which are then acquired for, say, 10 to 25,000. It's not a sustainable living. It's also a case where Netflix is sort of this black box. It's not sharing any of its user data with its creative partners. So you, as an artist, you get your film licensed on Netflix, you sell it to them for that very low fee, and Netflix is acquiring your royalties upfront, and regardless of whether 10 people or 10 million people watch your film, you never see another penny. Furthermore, you as an independent filmmaker can't really build a sustainable career with your fans because you don't know who, when, or how they're watching your content.
The pioneers that Netflix are migrating film and television from DVD to streaming has been tremendous. Although there's better ways for distribution, there are more equitable ways for the artists, for the producers, for the independent entertainment investors, and that's the blockchain technology that we're talking about. That is the framework of EtherVision.
Right, and this is why tokenization and blockchain as a payment portal on our distribution application is so essential. Because you can take your intellectual property, as Zach mentioned, you can embed it into tokens or smart contract systems that can automatically and transparently distribute royalty payments, which is something that is especially revolutionary. We've talked about the legacy systems already and why they're broken, but when it pertains to royalty payments, you're chasing those down 6 months, if you're lucky, a year, 2 years later, as opposed to a blockchain system where we can distribute royalties seconds later at the point of sale of a piece of content.
And originally, that actually specifically originally was inspired by Ujo a couple years ago when they did a demo with Imogen Heap and Tiny Human. So thank you, Ujo, for showing the world that little piece right there.
So this next slide is sort of a visual of what we've just described. We've got, you create a token that represents your intellectual property. You can then distribute your token among your creative collaborators, all of the people who need to be paid out at the point of sale of your piece of content. And they will receive their share pro rata in accordance with the tokens that they hold. This is an especially important paradigm shift because we're putting this technology in the hands of the artists so that they can define the deals that they're making as opposed to relying on industry standards, which typically are not so great for them.
So taking a really simple breakdown, let's say 50% of the rights of a film or the revenue claim of a film is with the creatives and the other 50% with the entertainment investors. Then every dollar that comes in, of course, half of that goes to the creatives, half of that goes to the investors on a transparent ledger, distributed, decentralized ledger, pretty instantaneously.
Yeah, no need to trust those Hollywood accountants anymore.
No.
So we've described already why EtherVision is especially necessary for artists, but it really does have a lot of benefits for fans, for the audience as well. And you can think of those as we've described here. One of the really key features of our platform is multimedia content discovery. We don't want to silo content where if you want to watch a movie, you have to go to one platform, and you want to listen to music, you have to head somewhere else. I think what we're finding increasingly, especially with platforms like YouTube, is there's a desire to consume content, but not necessarily a desire to distinguish between content. You might not know whether you want to watch a TV show or watch a music video, but if they live in the same place, we can offer more variety of content and facilitate discovery of new pieces of content for our audiences.
So basically what EtherVision allows you to do is to create your own distribution channel. If you're a musician, for example, and you do music and you have merchandise and tour videos, etc., you can put all of that different multimedia on a single channel. If you're a studio, for example, you'll have films, television, perhaps even games, applications. EtherVision allows basically for the listing of any entertainment medium that can be in a digital file, basically.
Right. It's something that's really going to be especially beneficial for multimedia artists who are not necessarily working in a single discipline. And certainly this is the case with many musicians as well. They've got tour videos, they've got music videos. Some of them may have a book, perhaps, that they want to list.
Yep.
And why not offer it to fans in one place? Ethervision can be that one-stop shop for content of all types pertaining to a particular artist.
And I think clear accounting is pretty self-explanatory as a benefit as well. So.
Right, we've discussed that already from the artist perspective. From the fan perspective, though, I know I personally would sleep a lot easier if I knew how much of my dollar when I download something on iTunes was actually making its way back to the artist, or whether my Netflix subscription actually has any effect on whether my favorite filmmakers get paid or not.
And also Ethervision is true digital ownership. When you buy something on Ethervision, it's yours.
Right. We will encrypt files that are downloadable via Ethervision, and then the transaction hash generated by you purchasing that piece of content is going to be what decrypts the file. So that way you will have access to it without this 30-year expiration date built in with other platforms.
And we did also already cover pretty much blockchain rights management and the benefits of that as well. That's another key part to Ethervision.
Our licensing deals are much simpler because it's the artist self-publishing their content on our platform and sort of a direct digital handshake with the downloader. So there's no need for cumbersome, confusing, obfuscating sub-licenses in the middle.
And of course, lastly, there's human-driven curation. Throughout the world in all the entertainment industries, the majority of the content is produced by very powerful gatekeepers. I love Apple TV. I use it every single day. For movies, though, right now, it's kind of making me a little crazy because that top level where all the movies are right there, half of them right now are superhero movies. And so that's...
I think it's going to be very exciting for us to put curatorial powers back in the hands of actual human beings, not simply using algorithm-driven curation to just feed you content similar to the stuff that you've watched already, but instead actually incentivize our users to participate by recommending to others their favorite pieces of content.
So let's move on now to show another one of our, actually this is a SingularDTV original that we're producing right now. And this is a sizzle reel. We'll explain to you what a sizzle reel is after this. But let's take a look at New Frontiers. might have recognized some of that footage. That's a sizzle reel. It's also known as a rip-o-matic. What filmmakers and producers often do is when they're raising money for a film, they will take portions of other films and around certain music and in a certain tempo of editing, they will say, okay, this best represents what we want our film to be. We received this sizzle reel, and based on that, we read the script, and we're moving forward with New Frontiers, producing it right now as one of our flagship sci-fi series.
Yeah, it's a super cool sci-fi anthology story, so we're excited to start with a film and then potentially see what happens and develop it into something much larger. This sizzle reel is unique in that it's mostly a compilation of the director's previous work, so it does give you a sense of their style, their sensibilities, what they're going to bring to the table with New Frontiers.
Let's just give a little sneak peek here at what Ether Vision possibly could look like as well.
So like we mentioned, Ether Vision is in development right now. We should have our private alpha version ready sometime in the next couple of months. We'll be starting with a desktop application, something perhaps along the lines of what you see here. This is an early wireframe designed for our platform, but you'll notice that as we mentioned earlier, multimedia content discovery is something very important and key to the platform. So we're including films, music, audiobooks, TV shows, all in one place for audiences to discover new and exciting content. And so, of course, the most important thing with launching a platform is there needs to be content there for our users to watch. So we've broken down our content strategy into these three verticals. The first, and the one that we've discussed at length already, is our original productions and our exclusives. This is content that will be hosted exclusively on EtherVision. We're working with some very exciting creative partners, and I think before we talk about the verticals a bit more, we should maybe unveil another one of these original exclusive projects.
The Happy Worker?
Yes.
Let's go do The Happy Worker.
I'm especially excited for this one.
Yeah, this is a collaboration. This is presented by David Lynch. This is a collaboration with David Lynch and with Dwayne Dunham, who is the director of The Happy Worker, and also Bill Borden, who is also another one of the producers of The Happy Worker. It's been really amazing to work with this team, and what else can we say?
I think we can, this film is in pre-production right now, meaning it hasn't started shooting yet. We actually have a casting director starting Monday, so that's exciting. But you can see here some of the storyboards for the film. This is actually the first 9 shots of The Happy Worker. So we're very excited to bring to life this dark fairy tale alongside one of my favorite filmmakers, David Lynch, and his creative team, who've worked together a long time. They've collaborated on Twin Peaks before. They've collaborated on Wild at Heart, which is a slightly more obscure Lynch film, but I think perhaps my personal favorite.
Yeah, the director of this, Dwayne, he's pretty amazing. He's a fantastic director, but also he's a very accomplished editor. He started back with George Lucas in the 70s, edited Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Raiders of the Lost Ark, all the Twin Peaks. The amount of knowledge that these men have they basically forget more than I will ever know about the entertainment industry on a daily basis. So.
Yeah, very exciting to be working with these guys. Back to our content acquisition strategy, though. So we've discussed our originals and exclusives. However, one concern that we have is we don't want to create SingularDTV in the image of existing Hollywood studios. We want to decentralize some of that decision-making power. This has led us to this regional mega production node initiative, meaning that we are setting up around the world autonomous sort of mini studios that will facilitate the production of original content in the language and culture where these are based.
We learned a lot when we went to Japan and studied how Netflix attempted to enter the Japanese market. And what we were told over and over again is that Netflix had a Their strategy was more along the line of cultural standardization, which basically meant that they went in there with their Hollywood content, with their Anglo-centric content, and then expected it to, I think, have much more of an impact than it did. So we're learning from that, and basically what we are doing with mega production nodes all over the world, Japan being the first one, is that we are setting up entertainment funds there to decentralize the entertainment industry in that region, so that with Japan, for example, Japanese artists can create Japanese content, film, television, music, etc., for the Japanese audience.
And the creative professionals who are going to be working in Japan are not beholden to SingularDTV in the United States to make decisions as to what content they fund. We're leaving that responsibility with them. The film industry in Japan is particularly ripe for disruption because there's a huge divide between what independent and what studio content looks like. Studio content is produced for tens of millions of dollars. It tends to be remakes or book adaptations, much the way that content is in the United States. But independent film is often being made by these scrappy independent filmmakers who are putting together films in the thousands of dollars, which is a tremendous divide. So it's really exciting to be able to go to Japan and support a new generation of Japanese filmmakers who will be able to make film at a level in the middle, something that's been unheard of in Japan previously.
We've successfully established this fund in Japan, and now we're moving to Hong Kong and Brazil and Spain and other countries around the world to do the exact same thing.
Right. So that brings us to our second vertical, which is acquisitions. This one is relatively straightforward and simple. It's about taking libraries of existing content and allowing them to sort of dip their toes into blockchain technology by listing it on our platform. We hope to one day migrate them, and in fact, a lot of our partners for the original content over to the third category, though, which is probably the most important for a decentralized entertainment platform, and that is user-generated content. So this is content that anyone, anywhere in the world can start using our applications, can start using Tokit today, in fact, to manage the rights and royalties of their project, start hiring crew with Rentalist, and then upload it to Ethervision and distribute their content in a fair, transparent, equitable, and automatic way.
So we have about 8.5 minutes left, and we have a special surprise, a video to debut at the very end of this, so we should probably skip through some of this, but not this one. So, go ahead.
So we've got some examples here of artists who are already starting to use our technology. One of them is Grammatic, who is here with us today. Grammatic's a very exciting electronic dance musician and producer, internationally known, and has created his very own token to control the rights, revenue, royalty flow of his IP via our platform Tokit.
And a pioneer of blockchain technology.
That too. We can't forget that one. We've got some other independent artists from all over the world.
Yeah, Casey Pearl is really exciting because she's an example of really the grassroots movement of artists coming to Tokit and then to Ethervision when it launches. Casey Pearl has never made an album before, but she's an absolutely wonderful musician, vocalist, and lyricist. And she's been offered record deals several times before, but has never taken them because too many times she was asked to either compromise who she is as an artist or to do things differently than she wanted to. And Casey Pearl, teacher by day, has now created her project on Tokit and is in the process of releasing her first album as well.
Yeah. Casey's here for Blockchain Week. I got to listen to her perform Thursday night, and she is lovely and amazing. So it's really exciting and gratifying to be able to empower artists like Casey with our platform.
Yeah, Javier from Guatemala as well is someone that we discovered with Tokit, and we would not have been able to get to have discovered him whatsoever if we had not launched these decentralized applications that we're rolling out now. He's a talented filmmaker in Guatemala, and because he created his project on Tokit as well, he has just wrapped his film and is in post-production and will be distributing his film, Lose, on Ethervision as well.
And of course, we have Husnuda Shukurova as well. She's an independent filmmaker, a Tajik filmmaker who's come to the United States, and she's tokenized a short film of hers called Detained, which will be premiering on Ethervision as well. It's a very personal story, one that's inspired by her own journey as a Muslim woman coming to the US in the age of travel ban.
All right. So basically from Guatemala to the UK to Tajikistan, it's really inspiring to see a lot of different artists from around the world come to Tokit and SingularDTV to help realize their dreams. Now back from the Dead Red, let's just jump into this one. This is so you've seen science fiction. We're doing science fiction, we're doing fantasy, but also we're diving into animation. This is just a 1-minute clip about, what's the story about, G?
It's about a female pirate who's avenging her father's death. It's a super cool animation. So we're very excited to be working with Engine House, an independent animation studio out of the UK for Back from the Dead Red, which is a really beautifully animated sort of anime meets Western animation style piece. I think we're starting to run short on time here, though, so I think it's important we get to our film, which I think is going to be premiering soonest, a documentary film.
I actually don't think we'll be able to get to it. I think we'll have to save that for later.
All right. Well, then stay tuned for more details on Trust Machine.
Great.
But so Trust Machine, it represents for us an educational effort, which is really the most important initiative we have in the space right now. How do we convey to artists that blockchain technology is important, possibly the solution that they need? How do we convey to audiences that they should care about paying artists, and that blockchain represents that transparent payment solution that solves their problems as well? That's why we'll be producing and distributing Trust Machine, a documentary about the blockchain directed by Alex Winter, a terrific and accomplished documentary filmmaker behind such films as Deep Web and also one half of Bill and Ted. I believe he's the Bill portion.
That's right. And now to wrap things up, we're very excited to debut one of Grammatic's new videos. This is from his album Recoil Part 1. It's Future Crypto, and here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Visit us online at SingularDTV.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you.